On behalf of St. Thomas University and MSQ Media, I would like to welcome you all to the MSM and SU Agent e-Summit Live Series for 2021. I'm Karishma Chaudhary, Manager Canada at MSQ Media. Before we start with today's Agent e-Summit, I would like to give you a little brief about St. Thomas University. It is a Canadian higher education institution, which is a primarily undergraduate university dedicated to excellence in liberal arts education. The Bachelor of Arts is a heart of its academic community with more than 30 programs offered in the humanities and social sciences. For more than 100 years, its small, supportive community has been bounded by a shared commitment to the liberal arts and social justice. SU, together with MSM, is happy to have you all here for an hour of ultimate knowledge-oriented session to help you boost your student recruitment practices. As you work closely with a carefully selected and approved group of agent partners to achieve its goal of internationalization. Well, before we get to the exciting part, I would like to let you know if you would be having any question related to SGU, please do not hesitate to drop it in Q&A section in your control panel. And if you would be having any technical question, then please drop it in the chat box. I know everyone is curious and interested to learn more about STU, its program offering, its state-of-art facilities on campus, and of course, its welcoming local community. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Camila. She is an international admission counselor at St. Thomas University. Camila, over to you.
Thanks so much, Karishma. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope this information is helpful for you, and we hope you get to learn more about St. Thomas. Like Karishma mentioned, my name is Camila Vasquez, and I'm an international admissions counselor here at St. Thomas. I also manage our agent partnerships, and I'm very happy to be here today to tell you everything you need to know about St. Thomas. We do welcome questions, so any questions that you have, please make sure you submit them through the Q&A, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. So first, we're going to go through where we are located. And some of you might be more familiar with than others with the Canadian geography, but we are located on the east coast of Canada in the first of the Atlantic Canadian provinces, which is called New Brunswick. So we're in the province of New Brunswick. New Brunswick is known as Canada's official bilingual province. So we speak both French and English. And New Brunswick is located between Quebec, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and the state of Maine in the United States. So it has a really good location. It's relatively easy for students to go and get to know a little bit more of Canada or of the United States. And the great thing about New Brunswick is that it's a great place for immigration and for quality of life. So students are able to come to a place that is welcoming, that offers really high quality of life, but at an affordable cost, really safe, diverse, and welcoming communities, and where they can actually see themselves staying and pursuing immigration pathways after their degree. Now, we're very lucky to live in the beautiful city of Fredericton. Fredericton is the capital city of the province of New Brunswick. It's not the biggest city in the province. I would say it's probably the second or third largest, but because we are the capital city of the province of New Brunswick, we kind of get the best of both worlds. We get to live in a city that is beautiful. We have nature all around us. It's very safe, very clean, very welcoming. And we have the St. John River that cuts the city in half and gives us these gorgeous views. But we're also in a place that holds all of the businesses, the governmental offices, the legislature, where politics take place because we are the capital city of the province of New Brunswick. Now, for many, Fredericton is the perfect college city. So we are a smaller city, but we have a big student population. In Fredericton, we have 2 universities, including St. Thomas, and 2 colleges. So it's a very young city, and it's very centered around the student experience. As a student, and I graduated from St. Thomas myself, one of my favorite things about Fredericton was that everything seemed to revolve around my student experience. So it's a city that is very welcoming, very safe, very affordable. It's easy to navigate, and there's a lot of discounts and music festivals and activities that have to do with student-related events. We have a bus pass that's included in our tuition, so students are able to explore the city quite easily, and they don't have to pay any additional fees. We have a lot of restaurants, especially for a city our size, so students can still get the best of what a bigger city would offer, like a good dining scene, entertainment, theater, plays, art. And we also have 100 kilometers of citywide walking and biking trails, which make the city quite accessible. In the winter, we have a ski hill that's only 40 minutes away. So the city is both accessible in the summer and in the winter time. And in regards to the winter, in our part of the country, it doesn't get as cold as in certain central areas of Canada. We do get a little bit more snow. This winter was particularly mild. So it's definitely a place where students can get adjusted to the winter when they're experiencing their first winter in Canada. Now, we're very lucky to have our campus, which is beautiful, right in the center of the city. So it makes it extra accessible for students. If students walk maybe 10 minutes down south, they go to the downtown area. 10 minutes away is the uptown area with the shopping centers and other stores. So it's quite an accessible place for students to be in. And because the campus is all concentrated in one spot, that means that it only takes a couple of minutes to go to the library or the gym or the study hall, their housing, the cafeteria, or any of their classes. So it really makes for a cozy community-based setting where students are able to have a smooth transition into life in Canada, and it's not it really mitigates that sense of like overwhelming fear that comes with moving to a new place. Now we'll talk a little bit about what makes St. Thomas unique. And St. Thomas is quite a unique university in Canada. It's actually one of the reasons why I chose it. And later on in the presentation, you'll hear about one of our current international students, and you'll get to know why he chose St. Thomas as well. So St. Thomas is the only Canadian university that specializes in humanities and social science programs at the undergraduate level. We have around 1,900 students who come from more than 40 countries, and we offer a really high quality of education in a community-based setting. So St. Thomas was founded in 1910. We've been doing this for a while, and there's a few reasons why we keep things small with limited enrollment. One of them is that we are an exclusively liberal arts university, and we focus in giving students this high quality of education, but in a very personalized environment. So the idea of the liberal arts started all the way back in ancient Greece, and it was to provide students with more than just a transfer of learning or of knowledge. So basically, we don't want students to come to class, memorize a bunch of different things, and then forget about them later after their exam or when their test is already over. We want students to really start thinking critically, to get in touch with the material that they're learning, and in this way develop the skills that will allow them to be successful in a variety of different fields, regardless of what they choose to study. So we allow students to think for themselves, to incorporate others' perspectives into their own, and in this way to become a global thinker and a global citizen. So that is the commitment that we give within the liberal arts. In order to do this, we do narrow what we offer. Like I mentioned, we're a primarily undergraduate university, and we specialize in programs within the humanities and the social sciences. So the Bachelor of Arts is the core of our academic offering, which is a 4-year degree in any of these majors. And today, the information that I'm going to give you will be primarily related to the Bachelor of Arts program, but I will talk a little bit about the other programs that we offer here at St. Thomas. So you'll see we have majors in the humanities and the social sciences. Some of our most popular programs are things like psychology, criminology and criminal justice, law, politics and society, anything that relates to pre-law, economics, economics with a business concentration, communications, journalism, sociology, different Romance languages, human rights. So students get a variety of different programs that they can choose. And we do encourage interdisciplinary study. So around 60% of our students actually double major, and they can finish their degree in the same amount of time, but with 2 different concentrations. Additionally, we offer an undergraduate Bachelor of Social Work program, which does begin in the Bachelor of Arts degree. So students are able to first apply to the BA, and then in their second year, they're able to apply for the Bachelor of Social Work program and earn a Bachelor of Social Work degree, which includes practicums. Internships and actual practical learning in different areas of social work. If you have a student who already completed a 4-year degree and would like to pursue a career in teaching, we also have a post-degree 11-month Bachelor of Education program that trains students to become certified teachers in the province of New Brunswick. So these are all different types of programs that students are able to access while at St. Thomas. If a student is coming to the Bachelor of Arts degree, the main degree that we were talking about earlier, the path to their degree looks a little bit like this. So the first year, they can have an idea of what it is that they want to study. They can either commit to that idea or they can change their mind. So the first year is kind of like an introductory year where students can discover different passions and topics that they're interested in. They can take different classes that they think they might want to major in, and then they can make a decision in their second year. So students don't actually have to declare their major until their second year. And if they want to study more than one thing, like I mentioned earlier, that's something that they can do as well. So we have a lot of students who will do double majors, or maybe they want to go to grad school, so they will do honors programs, they'll take different minors, and those are things that they can keep exploring in their third and second year. In their fourth year, they'll be able to take advantage of more advanced coursework like major projects, a thesis, research projects of the kind, and also participate in internships and service learning, which is something that they can do in their second year, in their third year as well. So there's a lot of flexibility and there's a lot of opportunity for students to gain experiential learning as well during their 4 years. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we do limit enrollment to be able to provide students with this very personalized style of education. So we do have around 1,900 students in the Bachelor of Arts degree. We do this so that students can be in a very dynamic, discussion-based style of learning, and they can get a dynamic discussion-based style of learning, and they can be in a dynamic environment. So there will be a max of 60 students per class. Students will never be in a classroom with 300 other students, so it's a lot more intimidating to raise their hand or participate in the classroom discussion. And the average number of students that we have in a class is actually 27. So that was one of my favorite things when I was a student. I was able to participate in class. My professor got to know me. I got to know my peers and learn through participating, which is a great way to gain experience. On this note, we do have a big emphasis on experiential learning, so learning through the reflection of doing. And there's quite a few different ways that students can access this experiential learning component during their degree. So number one is a lot of our programs already have integrated experiential learning components. So for example, journalism students will take their classes directly at the CBC studios. And the CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the biggest media group in Canada. So journalism students will learn directly with real reporters and anchors and journalists work. That's where they'll be taking their classes. And in this way, learn through experience and the practical doing. So a lot of classes will have components like this already part of the class structure. We also have a few partnerships for students that they can take advantage of in order to really boost their resume in this way. Just taking a water break because I've been talking nonstop. One of them is our partnership with the Harvard Business School. We were the first Canadian university to be partnered with Harvard for their Credential of Business Readiness program. This is the HBX core program, which introduces the language and concepts of business to liberal arts students in select universities. So there's only 2 universities in Canada that offer this. We were the first one, as I mentioned, and students are able to gain a Credential of Business Readiness from Harvard during their degree, and they can have this additional certification when they graduate. This is a great program, and it's open to all students who qualify, whether they're studying anything related to business or not. If they want to participate in this program where they're graded and evaluated by actual Harvard professors, and they get to connect with their cohort of students from all around the world who are participating in the program at the same time. That is definitely something they can do, and that is pretty unique to St. Thomas students. We also have Moot Court, which is our simulated Supreme Court competition. Moot Court is one of our areas of pride. We have one of the best moot court teams in Canada. And moot court is a thing that's it's a kind of competition that's very popular for students who want to go into law school or who are already in law. So what students do is they go to these Supreme Court simulations, they pretend to be real lawyers, they investigate cases, they write briefs, and then they present them and compete with students from other universities. So our students compete as pre-law students because we are an undergraduate university. We have won, we've been two-time finalists and the 2017 champions at the World Nelson Mandela Human Rights Competition, which was hosted at the United Nations in Switzerland. We are ranked second out of more than 400 teams in the American Moot Court Association. So we have a really extremely successful team. And we were the 2019 Canadian champions and the 2020 finalists. So what this means is that for students who want to go into law, they have such a great advantage when they submit their law school applications. Pre-law is such a popular track at St. Thomas. Our students consistently make it into some of the top law school programs, not just in Canada, but in the world. They get good scholarships for law school because they have this really good resume that they've been building during their pre-law years. So moot court's definitely one of the advantages. And if it's not just for students who want to do law, if they want to go into business or politics or anything that would require them to have persuasive speaking skills, it's a great resume booster as well. Now, if students want to have a little bit more of a formalized experiential learning opportunity, we also have student internships that are offered by our Office of Experiential Learning. So these are paid internships matched by the program of study, and they're offered during the academic year and during the summer. So students can go talk to our Office of Experiential Learning, kind of tell them what their career goals are, and then they'll go through the internship list or opportunities available. And it is up to the student to apply for these and get the job. So there's a lot of different opportunities for students to kind of gain that professional experience, network within the people in the city, and kind of get that step into the right direction when it comes to getting a job after graduation. Now, if your students want to keep traveling, we do offer international exchanges all around the world. So we have partner universities everywhere in Europe, Asia, Latin America, Australia. So there's different opportunities that students can take advantage of. Students can go on either short-term exchanges or semester or year-long opportunities. So we have international exchanges that are more formalized partnerships that take place either for a semester or for a year with one of our partner universities. And we also offer a lot of travel study opportunities within some of our classes. So for example, our introduction to Italian class, sometimes we'll go to Italy in the summer, and then students will gain class credit while they get to know the language and the culture while traveling. So these are all part of our experiential learning components so that students can take the learning that they do outside of the classroom and apply it into real world situations, which is oftentimes the best way for students to gain experience. Now, we've talked a little bit about the academic side of things, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about the student experience and what students can get when they come to St. Thomas. So we're very proud of our student community. We have students from all around the world. 11% of our student population is international, and we have over 40 countries represented. So there's a lot of diversity within our student body, and that makes for a very vibrant and dynamic campus experience. So we start with Welcome Week, which is our orientation week. We have an orientation specifically for international students, as well as our university-wide orientation. So international students typically come a few days earlier. We pick them up from the airport. We connect them with an upper year student who's their buddy through our buddy program to make sure that they can ask any questions and have that first friend before they arrive. And orientation goes through academic and social transition activities. So students really get comfortable with the city and with the campus and with Canada as well. One of the things that we offer is a really solid housing community on campus. So we do encourage our international students to live in residence, and we have 3 different residences located directly on campus. So we have Harrington Hall and Vanier Hall, which are our bigger co-ed residences, and we have Holy Cross House, which is a smaller all-female residence. For more mature students who might be coming after completing a degree or anything like that, there's also extensive off-campus housing. Like I mentioned, Fredericton is a student city, so it's very student friendly. So that's something that can work as well, but we do encourage any student coming straight from high school to live in residence. All of our residences offer private rooms and shared kitchens, lounges, and study spaces. Rooms are offered on a first come, first served basis, and students can apply after they've been accepted. We have a limited number of single rooms and double rooms for students as well. And all of our residences come with a meal plan. So it's an all you care to eat meal plan in our cafeteria. Students are able to swipe their card, that counts as a meal. And once they're inside, they can eat anything that they desire. So it's a really inclusive system in that way. We cater to a lot of different dietary requirements, different allergies or halal, for example. So if a student has a dietary restriction or requirement that they would need fulfilled, they just need to talk to the cafeteria to see what their options are. Our meal plan also includes access to the Tim Hortons, which is our coffee shop, very Canadian coffee shop on campus, and our Subway as well. Now, one of the reasons why I chose St. Thomas and one of the things that we pride ourselves in is the support that we give students. So we are a university that offers a lot of student support because we do care about students, not just the academic side, but also their well-being and their mental health. So we like to say you're on your own, you're independent, but you're not alone when you're at St. Thomas. So for international students, like I mentioned, we will pick them up from the airport. We will make sure they're connected to an upper year student. We have a dedicated international student coordinator, which is the person that once students are here, just is able to check in with them, give them any information regarding health insurance or things like that. We have counseling services available for students. We have free peer tutoring that students can access if they're struggling in a subject. We have the writing center. So when students are submitting their first paper, they're a little bit nervous about submitting it or need somebody to take a look at it. There's different services like this for students to get that academic and that wellness support as well at the same time. If you see the picture on the upper left side of Rosie, the therapy dog, we even bring therapy dogs during exam time. So students can de-stress, go play with dogs, and then go ace their exams. So it's a really good community where a student will never be a student number. We care about students as people and not just as a student. Like I mentioned, that makes for a really fun campus life. We have a lot of clubs and societies. There's a lot of ways to get involved. I find we attract students from all around the world who are involved in so many different activities. So there's a lot of activism, a lot of politics, sustainability, theater, music, art, business, entrepreneurship. So our students are really involved in everything. So we have our clubs and societies. We have STUISA, which is our International Student Association. It's the first club that students would be a part of when they come to St. Thomas. And the clubs and societies operate all year long. We typically have a clubs and societies fair at the beginning of the year. So students are able to kind of shop around for things that they might be interested in, that they might want to do once they're here. So some examples of clubs and societies are things like Theater St. Thomas, the Aquinian, which is our student newspaper, the Students' Union, which has a lot of different roles for students to be part of, the International Law Society, Enactus, which is an entrepreneurship club. There's many, many clubs and activities for students to not just build a resume, but kind of get involved in the campus community and get to make friends and socialize as well. Theater, we'll do a little spotlight on theater because St. Thomas is very big in theater. We attract a lot of arts students, so there's a lot of really good theater on campus. And I'll actually let Ray, the student who's going to give her testimonial, talk about it a little bit more later on. But if you have students who are interested in theater, either as an academic program or as an extracurricular activity they can do in addition to their academic studies, that's definitely something that they'll be able to participate in as well. We also have our varsity athletic program. So students can either do sports in two ways. They can either try out for the varsity program, which means that they would be competing for the university, or they can try out as an intramural sport, which means that they just do it in their residence for fun. So our varsity sports are quite competitive. Students do have to apply to university pretty early on and then go through the recruitment process with the athletics coach. So if you have a student who's interested in playing for a team, definitely encourage you to get in touch with us sooner in the application process. Sooner, a little bit earlier so that they have enough time. We have varsity sports for basketball for women and men, volleyball, soccer, rugby. We have women's hockey, and they're actually the current Atlantic champions for our side of Canada. They're a really successful team, cross country and track. So these are all opportunities available for students. It's just a little bit more competitive because they do have to try out. Now, like I mentioned, we have a really vibrant international student community. So I myself came to STU as an international student. I'm from Peru. And one of the things that I loved about St. Thomas was that we have a really, even though we're smaller, we have a really solid international student community that's very connected with the Canadian community as well. So we're all part of one big friendly community at St. Thomas. This is our wall of flags, which is in Jamestown Hall, which is one of our busiest buildings on campus. The wall of flags is a live representation of the international community that we have on campus. So every year it changes and it gets modified to reflect the nationalities that we have on our campus. So every year they'll update it with the flags of the international students that we have. And it's just a really nice reminder of how diverse and international our community is, and how we have people from all over the world studying at St. Thomas. Like I mentioned earlier, 11% of our international student, of our student population is international. So it's quite diverse. The St. Thomas International Student Association, STUISA, they'll be part of orientation and they'll put on a lot of different activities throughout the year for students. And one of those includes, for example, the Multicultural Fair every year, which is one of my favorite events. The Multicultural Fair showcases students with different areas, kind of like a fashion show and a talent show you can see there. On the left, we have Dane, one of our students from Jamaica, with other Jamaican students. They were doing a dance, a traditional like dance hall performance from Jamaica. On the right side, we have Aleph from Nicaragua, and she's showcasing fashion, like traditional fashion from her country. So these are all things that we have as part of the Multicultural Fair. And then there's also my favorite part, which is the food portion, where students cook their dishes from different parts of the world and you get to share in international cuisine. So this is probably our biggest international event that STUISA, our International Student Association, puts on every year. But we have many different international opportunities on campus for students to share their culture and build community with others as well. Now, after graduation, we do have a lot of different opportunities for students. So the beauty of the liberal arts degree is that it allows students to open doors in a variety of different careers. So when our graduates go on into the workforce, they're prepared either for graduate school, for professional schools like the Bachelor of Education, or for a career. What I like to tell students is that when they graduate from a liberal arts program, they graduate with more than just one tool in their toolbox. So students are able to do many different things with the tools that they've been given, because we teach students not just practical information, but we also give them the skills that will allow them to be successful in many different careers all around the world. So our grads work in business, they work in law, they work in government, they're teachers, pilots, social workers, counselors, they're policy developers, reporters. So there's a lot of different things that a St. Thomas grad can do, and the degree is highly portable and students can take it anywhere in the world. So we have students who go on to graduate school here or in the United States, in Europe. We have students who go back home to Latin America or Africa or Asia, and take their skills with them and are able to find careers in different places. So liberal arts grads have a very versatile and in-demand skill set, because they're able to have these transferable skills that really give them flexibility to pursue many different careers. So they're not just set to one particular thing. They have the range of skills that allow them to look for different careers once it's time to go into the workforce. And this gives them a competitive edge when it comes to finding a job. Now, what about admission requirements? So say this all sounds great and you have a student that you want to, that is interested in St. Thomas and would like to apply. So we have different admission requirements depending on the program. Right now, I'm going to talk about the admission requirements for the Bachelor of Arts, but keep in mind, this does change for the Bachelor of Education. So typically we do get students straight from high school. So if you have students straight from high school, we would require a complete application, the application fee, high school transcripts and or exams, depending on where they're coming from, and proof of English language proficiency. So we accept IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, Kale, or Cambridge. If a student has been out of school for more than 6 months, they have to provide a letter of application in which they let us know what they have been doing. If they pursued other studies, they should mention this and just let us know why they want to study in university at this time. If you have a student who's applying while they're in university or once after they have completed university, they would also have to submit their university transcripts. And depending on the academic background, these documents and requirements might change. So if you want to submit an application, you should contact globaladmissions@stu.ca, and they will be the ones to help you collect these documents and prepare the application. For students who do require English language proficiency, we have 2 different ways that they can apply. If students meet the minimum academic requirements and the minimum English requirements, for example, 6.5 in IELTS, 89 in TOEFL, or 105 in Duolingo, they're able to be considered for regular admission. If a student meets the regular academic requirements, but they do not meet the English requirements, say they are between 5 and a 6.5 in IELTS, or 61 and an 89 in TOEFL, or 85 and a 105 in Duolingo, then they're still able to be considered, but if accepted, they would have to take English as a second language courses during their study. So they have to take English support to make sure that they get to the level that they need to be in for their study. So the great thing about our English as a second language program is that it takes place during the academic year. Students do not have to come in advance. They don't have to come early. They don't have to pay additional money. These are courses that they take during their academic year, and they have no additional fee. So ESL students must still meet the regular academic admission requirements. To be clear, we do not offer an English as a second language standalone program. This is only an extra support for students entering into the Bachelor of Arts degree. If you have a student who wants to pursue the Bachelor of Education program, they would have to meet the regular admission requirements and they would not be able to take ESL. If you're curious about specific international requirements, you're welcome to look at stu.ca/international or to email globaladmissions@stu.ca, and we'd be happy to give you that information. Now, for the Bachelor of Arts program, we do have 2 types of awards. We have merit-based scholarships and financial need bursaries. Students can only apply for awards after they have been accepted and before the deadline of March 1st for the September intake. Students are only able to apply for scholarships for the Bachelor of Arts program when they are applying after high school without having taken any university classes. So students applying for a second degree or applying as a transfer student are unfortunately not able to apply for scholarships. For scholarships, students do need an admission average equivalent to A or higher. This is calculated during the time of admission, and they do have to submit an additional application that includes a statement letter, a letter of reference, and a resume. Once the student submits the application, we do our assessment in March, and we give out a decision in late March to all applicants. Students submit one application, and we consider them for all awards, so they don't have to submit many different scholarship applications. So our scholarships range between $1,000 awards all the way to one full tuition and housing scholarship. And these only look at academic merit and extracurricular involvement. Now, we also offer smaller financial need bursaries. Financial need bursaries, like the name implies, only look at demonstrated financial need. These are as well awards for students entering university for the first time, and they're valued between $500 and $5,000 per year. So students can apply for both scholarships and financial need bursaries. Once they get a decision, that decision is their entire financial aid package, and it includes both academic awards and financial need awards. So the financial need ones are definitely smaller in value, and the bigger awards or the larger awards that we have are the academic awards. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the university, we do offer virtual tours for agents as well as for students. So you can either contact me or global admissions at stu.ca. We have shorter tours for agents and longer tours for prospective students. These are tours led by current students. It's a great way to become familiarized with campus, ask questions, and learn more about St. Thomas University and what it's like to study here. On that note, we also have our virtual open house coming up on February 6th. I encourage you to follow Stu on social media if you're interested about the open house. That information will be there as well, but I also encourage you to email global admissions at stu.ca, and they'll be able to give you the registration link and all the information if that's something that you would like to share with your students. Perfect. So that is me and my contact information. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. Before we're done, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Ray. Ray is an international student. He's in his second year. He's joining us from Ecuador. I actually met Ray in Guayaquil in person with his parents. We talked about St. Thomas, and now he's here. So he's going to tell you a little bit about his student experience from a student perspective.
Hi, Camila. Thank you. Can you hear me? Is everything okay? Yes. Okay. So, well, how can I start? I feel like as an international student, it is important and was important at the time when I just got out of high school to pick the best university possible for me. And I felt like still St. Thomas University was my only option. St. Thomas University felt so open and warm to international students like me. And I also really consider it because a friend recommended it to me. And after doing some research and talking to Camila, it just felt like the right fit since the very first day. Because I found out that many universities don't really have everything, everything that just feels right. And St. Thomas did. And it just felt like the right fit. I also wanted to talk about the fact that St. Thomas has a very close and small community to make you feel welcome and to make you feel like you're safe, which is a very important part as an international student, living your home, living a lot of the things you're comfortable with, entering an environment which you feel safe in is very important. And on that note, you also feel like you're close to everyone, when you're close with your peers, you're also close with your professors. And this is where it gets interesting, because you're close with your professors, you know them by name, you know them really close. You're not just a number to them. You're not just another student for them. It creates a really comfortable and really dynamic relationship between you, your peers, and your professors, that really helps out in the classes. It makes the classes a lot more interesting, a lot more challenging, and a lot more fun. It also allows for you to be flexible and be comfortable in the area that you're in studying, whichever that may be. I also want to talk about how awesome it is to be part of the clubs and societies here at STU. I am in two clubs. I am the public relations officer of STUISA, the St. Thomas University International Students Association. Sorry about that. I am one of the buddies in the buddy program, and this program serves as your first point of contact. Let's say that you are planning to come to STU, which is a good option, of course, and you need someone to guide you. You need someone you can trust. The buddy program allows you to connect with an upper year student like me. I'm a second year student, and it's your first friend. It's your best friend away from home. And I'm also in Theater St. Thomas. I'm a very fond of theater and acting. And some of you might think, oh, theater's not the right fit for me, or maybe other clubs are not the right fit for me. But just give it a try once you come here. It is very, very, you'll find it that aside from challenging, it is very welcoming. So it's not like, oh, you're not the right fit for this because you don't have talents or anything like that. It is the other way around. It is like they encourage you to show your talents and to open yourself to new possibilities. So that's what I like about STU and their clubs and societies. I also wanted to talk about how the city itself, Fredericton, is the best city, is the perfect city to live while you're getting your university studies. It feels small but big at the same time. It has a lot of opportunities for us international students, and in overall, it just feels safe. And I know that that's a big part of what university life and life itself has to be. It has to feel safe, and Fredericton is just that. Also, there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of theater, there's a lot of music festivals, there's a lot of libraries and malls and a lot of activities that you would find interesting as an international student and as a person who's just coming of age and wants to explore the world. Also, and in the professional side of things, like Camila said, St. Thomas University offers paid internships. And I just wanted to make another point that this is a really good opportunity for us international students to prepare us for our future. And right now I'm doing an internship with Camila, actually, and it's the best possible decision that I could have ever asked for as a job, because I'm learning so much in the field that I wanna possibly get into after graduating, but also it lets me become comfortable with the work processes, like submitting your resume or writing a cover letter, and it makes me overall more prepared and more comfortable and more secure about the choices that I make moving forward. And that is what St. Thomas is all about. If I can summarize it all, St. Thomas University prepares you for your future. It makes you feel comfortable, secure, and safe while doing so. And that's the best thing any institution can give you. Yeah, that's my
Thanks so
opinion.
much, Ray. Thank you so much for your testimonial. Perfect. Thank you all for being here today. Now I'm going to pass things on to Karishma.
Thank you, Camila. Thank you, Ray. And now it's a time to take questions from the audience. I request everyone who is having any question related to SGU, please do not hesitate to drop it in Q&A section in your control panel. Right, Camila, I'm putting the very first question to you. Do we have physiotherapy course in bachelor's?
No, St. Thomas specializes in humanities and social sciences, so we do not offer physiotherapy.
And Camilla, regarding the WIS requirement, for which particular program a student would be required to submit their WIS evaluation certificate?
So we definitely need it for the Bachelor of Education. If a student is transferring into the Bachelor of Social Work program, like they would like to go in straight to the Bachelor of Social Work and bypass the 2 years of the BA, they would also need a WES assessment. For the BA, they're able to apply without it, but if they want to be considered for transfer credit, depending on where they took their studies, if it's not as straightforward as a Canadian degree would be, then we might require it for the transfer credit assessment.
Right. Thank you, Camilla. And the another question is regarding the tuition fee. If you can again give the breakdown of the tuition fee, and also elaborate about ESL.
Yes, so ESL is our English as a Second Language program. So for the Bachelor of Arts, there's two ways. I'm just going to go back in the presentation um, to this slide. There's two ways for students to be able to apply for the program. They can either meet academic requirements and regular English requirements, which you can see for IELTS, for example, would be a 6.5, for TOEFL it would be an 89. But if a student has a slightly lower level of English and they still meet the academic requirements, they're able to be considered for our ESL, or English as a Second Language program. So they still apply to the same university, they still take their academic courses, they just have to take English support classes during their studies. So this is only offered for the Bachelor of Arts degree, not the Bachelor of Education program. Now, in terms of tuition fees and general fees for the Bachelor of Arts program, including tuition and compulsory fees, costs are around 19,000 Canadian dollars. If you add housing and meals to that, students are looking at around 28,000 Canadian dollars per year. That includes tuition, compulsory fees, which includes health insurance, housing, and meals.
Right. Thank you, Camilla. Camilla, do we also accept PTE?
We just passed PTE, so I don't have the minimum requirements right now, but we will be able to start accepting PTE soon. So that's something that just started, and as soon as I have the information, I will send it to Karishma so she can share it with everyone.
Yeah, sure. We will definitely share the minimum requirement for PT with all the agents once we receive it, formally. Okay, now moving forward, do the university providing co-op programs in bachelors?
So we, instead of co-op, we have our paid internship program. So students are able to go to our Office of Experiential Learning, like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, and they can get a paid internship during their studies. So the main difference is that with co-op, they would have to take a semester off just to work, and then they would finish their degree in a little bit longer. So with us, they can still finish the degree in 4 years. They can still get the work and paid experience. They just do it during their studies.
Right. Thank you, Camilla. Camilla, the next question is the IELTS required for admission for Nigerian students as well?
No, Nigerian students, if their first language is English, they do not need to provide IELTS.
Right. Thank you, Camilla. Camilla, what are our readiness plan for the COVID? Like what all we are doing during this particular, pandemic time of pandemic, and how the classes will be initiated? What all students need to be do if they will be arriving in September?
Yeah, so we are a designated learning institution that has an approved COVID readiness plan from immigration and the government. So that is definitely something that we have in place. Right now, this semester, our classes are online. So students are taking their classes virtually. international students are still able to come to Canada if they want to take their online classes here. Like if they, like Ray, for example, he's still here, he's working. We have a lot of international students who are still here, and typically the gym and the study hall and the library would be open. Right now, our province did go back to a little bit of tighter restrictions, but we only foresee that happening for a few weeks. We will make an announcement regarding fall classes, so September classes, in accordance to what public health guidelines indicate, a little bit closer to the summer. We don't want to make a decision right now because a lot could change with the vaccine rollout, and with the pandemic, you never know. But we are making policies that would take care of students, whether they can physically come here or if they might have to do like a hybrid of taking online classes while they wait for their visa, if there are delays, and then come here. So those are definitely things that we're looking into and we're considering.
Right. Thank you, Camila. Camila, what would the turnaround time to issue the offer letter or LOA to the student?
So typically within 2 weeks of receiving like a complete application, 2 weeks would be the max time. We try to give a decision within a week, but I would say 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay. I got another question, and if you would be able to clarify on this, the agent is asking if WES is required for holders of WAEC results, or for that those that may had additional,
Yeah, so if a student's applying directly from WEAC, they don't have to submit WES because we don't require WES for WEAC. So if WEAC was their latest and most recent study, what we would require would be their scratch card so we can verify their results. If that student took WEAC and then went to university and they would like to apply for the BD, they do need WES. If that student took WEAC and then went to university and then they would like to apply for the BA and be considered for academic credit, we might require WES. So the thing that the WES assessment does is it just makes the transfer credit evaluation a little bit more clear on our side, because universities all around the world have different transfer credit guidelines, they have different grading schemes. So it just clarifies the process a little bit more. So it's not mandatory for the BA, but it might be necessary for a transfer credit evaluation.
Right. Thank you, Camila. And how many days classes are there per week?
Yeah, so a student typically has 5 classes per semester. So 5 classes per week. Classes are 3 hours a week per class, which is very typical of Canadian universities, but I know it sounds like very little time for a lot of universities around the world where you're in the classroom almost full time. So in Canada, most students, Canadian students, will work to pay for their university. So the idea is that students have around 15 hours a week for all their classes in the classroom. They have to devote around 15 to 20 hours in assignments and essays, and it's not free time. It's time that they have to prepare for their classes, and then they still have that extra time for extracurricular activities and for employment if that's something they want to do.
Right. Thank you, Camila. And Camila, like what options are there for students who have already having the bachelor's degree? Would be they able to, transfer their credits? And if they really want to have it, the bachelor's again, they want to do bachelor's again?
Yeah, so a student can apply for a second undergraduate degree, so a second bachelor's. They can't apply for a second bachelor in the same thing that they already have. It would have to be in something else. In that case, a student typically would have to submit their university transcript. We do look for really good results if a student wants to complete a second undergraduate degree. Their English tests, unless English is their first language or they're from one of the exempt countries, and a letter of application. The letter of application is very important in this case. They have to explain why they want to complete a second undergraduate degree instead of pursuing the more traditional graduate studies. So they do have to show that they have an academic plan that makes sense. But yes, that is something that they could do. They would apply as transfer students and they might be considered for transfer credit.
Right. Thank you, Camila. And Camila, how many years of gap is acceptable?
Of gap? There is no max. So Yeah, we don't discriminate against like a bigger gap of the students applying straight from school. We just want the career plan to make sense and the academic plan to make sense, and it will be very much based on their academics and their English scores.
Right. And I believe even for that, student need to submit a letter of application to justify like what they have done in the
Yes,
previous.
definitely. If they have a gap, let us know what you've been doing since school, and why you want to go back to school now at this time. And this is something that they would also have to provide the visa office. So that's something good for them to have anyway.
Right. That is amazing, undoubtedly. And Camila, what is about the backlog? Is there any set backlogs which like would be acceptable, and more than that student won't be eligible to apply at?
So we don't have a cap. We really assess each on an individual basis, but there's no particular cap that we would look at. So we would just look at the student's specific profile and any explanations that they might have and go from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Camila. Okay, how many backlogs would be acceptable? I believe the student must be clear at the time when they are applying at SGU, and there's nothing like any kind of minimum back or maximum backlogs are mentioned in the application process. Okay, does university need recommendation letters?
So if a student's applying for admission, they typically don't need recommendation letters. This is only a requirement that they need for scholarship consideration. Now, if a student's applying for a second undergraduate degree, something a little bit less straightforward, I would encourage them to submit them if they have them. It's never bad to have. Just whatever they send, we would consider in our assessment.
Right. Thank you, Camila. Right. I believe we are able to answer all the questions here, Camila. Would you like to say
Perfect.
something before we wind up?
I would just like to say thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the world. St. Thomas is a pretty unique university. So if you have any questions or something's not clear, I do encourage you to contact MSM. They'll give you all the information that you need. And hopefully if you have a student who's a good fit for St. Thomas, you're able to submit an application for them.
Right. Thank you so much, Camila. And I would also
you.
like to thank all the participants who has attended today's webinar. I believe the webinar was very much informative for all of you. If still you are having any question for this, you can definitely get in touch with us. Anyhow, we will be sending you a complete email regarding SGU after the webinar. And have a great evening where you are at this particular time. Thank you once again.